Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the geographic location that you're joining from. So once again, welcome back. This is an exclusive webinar for our existing students. So in the last year Genesys training, there was one question. If I remember correctly, it was asked by Kailash, and he was asking about how to do a kind of favorite agent routing. So favorite agent routing means when the call comes to the Genesys queue or Genesys contact center, and the call get connected to one particular agent. Next time when the call comes in, it will check whether the previous agent who answered the call is active or not. If he is available, ready to pick the call, route the call to that particular agent. Otherwise, route to the next members in the queue. That is what we are planning to implement. So this was the question. He said it is available in UCC. How can we do that in Genesys Cloud? So there is no straightforward implementation for that. So after some time, there was another student who again asked me about, is there a way we can implement this? Our company is looking for that. So I kind of explored, and he gave me some hints saying that there is a concept called direct routing. We will also see what is direct routing in Genesys Cloud. But our primary focus will be implementing a sticky agent routing. Sticky agent is basically my own nomenclature. It's not an official routing of Genesys. So in this, what we do here is, one sec. One moment. Yeah. So what we do is, instead of using that direct routing, which is a default routing method in Genesys, we kind of implement a logical routing with preferred agent. I will show you how to do that. That's what our plan. But the goal is, you will have a favorite agent. Imagine you're a customer, you're calling the contact center. Your call will be always answered by a specific agent as long as that agent is available. That's what the agenda, that was the question. In UCC world, it is available, but in Genesys, it's not natively available. So we have a workaround. That is what we are looking for today. And people who are joining me for the first time, my name is Abdul. And along with me, Vijesh and Midun will be joining. They will be the co-host for the webinar. If you find any issues while joining or any difficulties in the webinar, please ping in our WhatsApp group. They will be there and monitoring if there are any other issues. And students who are joining, or any other audience who are joining for the first time in this session, if you wanted to get connected with me, I have my contact details here. You can always message me after the webinar. All right. Once again, welcome back. Let us see what is the problem we are trying to solve. Imagine in one fine day, your customer said, we need a routing mechanism in our contact center to route returning customer's call to the agent who handled the last call. You make a call, one agent becomes available and he answered the call. Next time the agent calls again, customer calls again, the same agent will be connected. This approach helps us to build continuity, improve customer satisfaction, and reduce repeated context. Is that clear, guys? What is the problem we are trying to solve?
Yes, clear.
Yes.
All right. So the call will be routed to the same agent who handled the last call as long as that agent is available. And what if that agent is not available? This will be routed to the normal queue, and then it goes through the queue algorithm and route that. And the solution what we have today is called, this logic is achieved by dynamically identifying the last agent. So when I say dynamically identifying the last agent, we have some APIs, specifically Analytics API, which can go into the contact's history, the interaction history, and identify who answered the last call based on the customer number. So any customer calls, there will be a specific unique variable, which is our ANI, caller ID, right? So we pick that caller ID, trigger an API call, see who answered the last call. Then we get the agent ID of that particular agent who answered that call. So that will be the agent ID. Then instead of using the direct routing concept, we use preferred agent route. In the preferred agent, we're going to give that agent ID so that that agent will be answering the call as long as he is available. Otherwise, it goes to the other agent. And keep in mind, this is not a Genesys native routing method. Rather, it's a logic built to address the above scenario. So technically speaking, it's a preferred agent routing with an extra logic. And I call it as sticky agent routing. It's my own nomenclature. I named it like an agent will be always stick to a customer. So I call it as sticky agent routing. You cannot see any sticky agent routing concept or documentation in Genesys. I just named it. But technically speaking, it is a dynamic preferred agent routing or a preferred agent routing with an extra logic. All right. So there is a concept in Genesys Cloud called direct routing. Let me going to show you where is that direct routing concept comes in. So if I go to the architect flow, I just built a test call flow yesterday. Let me just open that, but we will be building that scratch. So within the ACD transfer section, right? So here we can see a priority, preferred agent route, and a direct agent. So what is this direct agent basically is all about? So the direct agent is nothing but you can provide an agent ID here, and no matter what, the call will be always routed to that particular agent. But there is a problem when you do that. So I don't want to implement that way. Usually people are using direct agent to attach one agent always to take the call. But there is no concept of routing based on the caller ID. So it is not looking any caller ID. It will be always routed to a specific agent, and the agent ID you have to hard code here. So in direct routing, if you see within Genesys that direct routing, it is like Genesys Cloud offers a specific feature called direct routing, which allows specific calls to be routed directly to an agent. So that option is there. We can route a call to a specific agent. But what's the problem? While this functionality is being used to achieve similar outcomes, such as connecting customer to a specific agent, it is less efficient for scenarios where a routing decision is based dynamically based on the caller ID. I mean, if the routing decision is based on the caller ID, we can't do direct routing because we're not mentioning anywhere the caller ID in the direct routing implementation. Then what is direct routing? So within direct routing, what we do is we will have a agent and we assign a DID number to the agent. That is mandatory. So one DID number assigned to agent as their phone 2. So there are multiple extensions. I mean, phone number we can assign to agent, right? So phone 1, phone 2, etc. So we're going to assign that to phone 2. Then the same DID will be associated a call flow as well. Then what happens? Any call comes to this call flow. Imagine your caller ID is plus, I mean the DID number is plus 1, 2, 3, 4. Imagine any customer who call this number. 1, 2, 3, 4 associated with a call flow, and also 1, 2, 3, 4 is associated to a user. So within this call flow, you make an API query and identify, is there any agent who is having 1, 2, 3, 4 assigned? Get that agent ID, route the call. That concept is called direct routing, which is heavily documented in Genesys. But let me show you that documentation as well. Genesys Cloud direct routing. Direct routing. So if you wanted to implement that way, like routing the call based on the destination number that customer called, this documentation help you for that. And here you can download some, these are the API used for that direct routing. And what else? There are some architect flows you can download from here as well. Just a second. By the way, I have a documentation here. I will also share this document after the session. In this, I have a link about direct routing. Yeah, so this is the direct routing documentation. Yeah, so here in the official documentation of Genesys, they have given some examples how to do that direct routing. By the way, that is not the problem we are solving. They have given some data action. We have to download those data actions and architect flows. These are the data action required for that specific call. And these are the architect flows to support that. But the problem with a direct routing is that it is not associated with the caller ID number. Rather, it is assigned with a destination number. Then what will be the difficulty here? If you wanted to use that, every agent should have a DID number, and every call flow should have a DID number. So we cannot dynamically use that. One DID number, one agent. Anyone who calls that number, it will be always going to that agent. If that agent is not available, it goes to the in-queue call flow. So to identify a backup agent, you have to build additional logic in the in-queue call flow. So in my context, or in my problem scenario, the direct routing concept will never help me to achieve that. So how can we solve this problem? So that's where we are introducing the sticky agent concept routing. Here, it's a prioritized routing based on a recent interaction history of the caller ID. I will show you what API we're going to use. So when call comes in, we will identify the caller ID, check the history of the call, identify who answered the last call, then get the agent or route the call. So while getting the agent and routing the call, we use this expression for preferred agent routing, and we have seen that in our class. Find user by user ID, there is a concept, and then we can hard code our agent ID here. So from every call history, you can get one agent ID, then pick that agent as a preferred agent, route the call. If that agent is not available, fall back to the normal queue logic, which will be the next agent in the queue. So what's the benefit of this routing? It considers the caller ID. It also evaluates whether the agent is available or not. And it supports fallback to queue members. We don't need any extra logic to fall that call to the queue the existing queue members. But in the direct routing, we have to do an extra logic in the in-queue call flow, which is a little more complicated again. And here the goal is to maintain a customer agent continuity. So the customer will be always talking to a specific agent as long as that agent is available. So that's where the logic. So instead of going towards direct routing, we're going to be implementing a preferred agent routing with a dynamic logic, and I call it as sticky agent routing. I hope our logic is clear and the problem is clear. Any questions, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, one by one.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have one question. Okay.
Mhm.
When the preferred agent has been logged in, we are not able to get the call to a hold. After that, for the specific period of time, we can check the agent is free or not. After that, the call is going to the journal queue. It is possible?
That is also possible. So
Yeah.
for that, we need another algorithm that whether we need to check whether the agent is available or not. In our class, in the last class, we have implemented agent availability routing. So that moment I have used a different API that will always check whether this particular agent is available or not. Then you can build a logical decision there. If the agent is available, route it. Otherwise, wait for some time and then route to something else. So all these things are possible.
Okay.
So agent, I have a scenario.
Yeah, Yogesh.
Suppose a preferred agent is not available that time.
Mm-hmm.
So the call will be went to the some other agent who is available in the queue, correct?
Yes.
After that call, suppose again customer calls at the next time. Okay.
Good question.
At that time when the customer calls,
Mm.
which agent will route? It will the
You
first
tell me
agent
the
or
answer. Yeah. So very good question. So his question, let me repeat that question. I have agent 1 and agent 2 and a customer called, and initially it got connected to agent 1. So that becomes his favorite agent. Next time when he calls, it still goes to the agent 1 because that's the logic we are building. Imagine this agent 1 is not available and we have agent 2 available in the queue. So the call will automatically goes to agent 2. So who answered the last call? Agent 2.
Agent 2.
So next time when he calls, our logic is that we will check the history and see who answered the last call. Then we will route the call into that particular user again. So the answer is agent 2 itself in this case. So agent 2 becomes the favorite agent. Clear?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the favorite agent will be always getting changed, correct?
Yeah, so that's how we need to use it, right? Who answered otherwise, imagine if you are always hard coding one agent to pick this call, that becomes a problem, right? As long as that agent is not available, it will never, you can implement a way that you can route to a backup queue. And again, you have to use a different logic to get the favorite agent all the time. But my logic is simple. Who answered the last call? he will become the favorite agent. So that is what if the dynamicity is there. Otherwise, you need to hard code that agent ID always for the caller ID number. So here we don't use any third-party database or anything. If we want to implement your way of routing, I mean, we dedicate one specific agent always. If that agent is available, fall back. In that case, we have to build a database or a data table and record all the customer numbers there and then assign a specific agent, then create a logic. If this agent is available, route it there, otherwise fall back. But that requires some external database or data table. But this one is totally dynamic. It will check the history of Genesys itself, who answered the last call, and then route it. But your scenario can be also implemented. Yeah, go ahead.
AJ Parvez here.
Yeah, Parvez.
Any specific media communication will be considered for this sticky agent. I think this might be more useful for email interactions, where back and forth response and query will be exchanged between customer and agent.
Yeah.
Voice and chat, I'm not very sure, but yeah, it would be useful where there is a continuation feature is required from customer side, right? That customer wants to continue the chat from where it left. Right? So is sticky agent, is it correct understanding? It's more useful for email conversation?
Yeah, that is, your answer, correct understanding, but it can be also useful in the call as well, right? Today, for example, I call my bank for doing something, and tomorrow, and I spoke to an agent. He agreed that, okay, we will do it. I will update you tomorrow. And again, next day I called. If I get connected to the same agent, my communication is much more context based, right? So he understands why would I call yesterday, so that he can fix that problem. So in the call as well, it is important. Like you said, in email, it is more preferred. And our logic is based out of queue. So whatever interaction comes to the queue, it can be a call, chat, message, email, it works seamlessly. So we don't need to build extra logic for anything. Create a queue. Wherever you use that queue, then whatever calls or chat, what interaction you are going to transfer to that queue, it applicable to all those things.
And there could be also concept in voice, in case of voice, that give an option to customer that the last agent who served you is not available at the moment. Would you like to talk with another agent, or would you like to wait, continue to wait, something like that?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, probably we can try to implement. It's not planned in my session, but it's a simple logic. We can do that as well in the architect flow.
Yes. Okay.
Cool.
One query.
Yes.
How different is this with regards to threading timeline?
Which one?
Threading timeline. So there is a concept, right, in Genesys for digital channels. It will be routed to the same agent within the mentioned time of 72 hours.
Yeah, the threading time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So threading is as long as the cache history or the email also it's applicable. So based on that settings, it tries to identify the same agent for chat or the what do you call?
I think it's other way around. It's other way around. So it identifies the same customer. If same customer is coming, it doesn't create a new conversation ID. It just just assign the same conversation ID to that customer.
That's true.
If you see if you see the messaging, especially digital messaging, and if you see the payload structure for Genesys, it has a two unique feature. One is a unique customer identification ID, and then another is the time generation. And so these are like two unique feature. So what does happen if you enable the threading, for example, 72 hours. So within 72 hours, if same customer is calling with same customer ID, what Genesys does, it just reassign the same conversation ID if it is happening with that threading timeline. So it will just keep assigning same conversation ID.
That's true.
So what additional logic we can do, we can use those API to identify who served last time and can reassign that.
Yeah, we still need to use this logic, but the threading is basically means it considers your history. I mean, you chat with one customer today, and tomorrow you're opening the website and doing the same thing again. All your chat history will be maintained. That's what basically the threading is all about. If that time expires, I mean 72 hours. Sorry, guys, if you're not speaking, please mute. So if that time period expires, then it should be treated as a new interaction. So the chat will again repopulate. Whatever logic is there in the chatbot, it's still applicable. But while routing to the ACD queue, it will still identify whoever is available, then route the call. So that moment we can still use this logic to get connected to the agent who answered last time. Clear?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Rest of the question you can pause me after the call. Now let's move on. This will be the architect flow. It's a very simple architect flow, but you can use this concept in any other flow. The only logic what we are applying here is in the ACD transfer. So wherever you have this ACD transfer section, you can utilize this logic. So for this specific example, I have a flow. It initially announced, thank you for calling AJ Bank Customer Happiness Center. Then it gonna transfer to a queue. No option 1 or option 2. It's a simple IVR. Then it says, we are transferring your call to the next available agent. Then we use a specific queue. I will be creating that queue today called AJWB queue, webinar queue. And then I will use this expression. This is basically a preferred agent routing expression to send the call to that particular agent. And we will identify the sticky agent ID using an API. So our logic is very simple. Use the API, get the agent ID, try to route to that agent. If the agent is not available, ignore and then move on to the next agent. So if the call fails, it just announce, sorry, you're not transferring the call back as later, whatever. So this is what we're gonna implement. So 1 second. Where is the flow logic? Okay. So I have divided this webinar into 3 different sections. So first is on the administration portions where we create some queues, call flow, call route and wrap-up codes. And then we're going to create an API data action. So we also introduce Postman and build that API stuff. Then third one is an architect flow. So all these together, we can implement the solution. And this is how it works. This is the simple flow diagram of that logic. So let's understand this. Call comes in to the, 1 second, an external caller. Call comes to the Genesys. By the way, we are using Genesys Cloud Voice. So I purchase a number. This will be the DID number I will be calling. And as we understand how the call will be routed in Genesys, we have to add this number as a DID range. So we add the DID range. Then that will be assigned to a call route. So call route, you can attach one number. So these 2 sections comes in the administration portion of Genesys. Okay. Please mute yourself, guys. Then from the call route, we will attach the call route into an architect flow. Within the architect flow, we trigger an API request with the input as a caller ID. So caller ID will be there in the input section. Then it goes to the Analytic API. This is Genesys own API. We have seen the platform API in our classes. So it go and ask in the interaction history within this time frame. You can also mention a time frame like 1 week or 10 days or 20 days or 31 days. That's the maximum. So last month, you might have got a lot of calls from this particular customer, and who answered the last call. That will be the logic. So that month time, 31 days or 20 days, 20 days, you can customize that. So I have used 10 days here, but it's an expression. I will show you that, which you can customize and add your own logic there. What this guy will do is it will send a customer ID, not customer, sorry, the agent ID. So that API, you send an API with a mobile number of the customer. Whoever answered the last call, that will be retrieved back. So once the architect flow gets that, then it tries to do an ACD transfer. And within the ACD transfer, we will use this condition. So usually in the preferred agent route, you can prefer like 100, 99. So that's a score pair. So agent score pair, you can have 100, 99, 98, etc., going towards all the way to 0. But here, we just need to prefer just one agent, right? So whoever answered the last call, prefer that agent. That's it. What about others? No preference. As long as this agent is not available, it falls back to the normal queue process, which is there in the queue settings. Again, I will show you that. So 3 sections. One is our administrative portion where we will create the DID range and a call route. Then an architect flow where we create our flow, and then in the API section, we will create a data action. So let's understand the flow again. So first thing, incoming call entering to Genesys Cloud. All right. Genesys Cloud looks for DID range and associated call route. That all we know. That's the way call routes in the Genesys, a DID range and an associated call route. Call route get connected to architect flow. We know that call route will be attached to an architect flow. architect flow triggers data action to the platform analytics API. So it sends an API call. API returns the agent ID, right? So we get an agent ID who attended the last call, right? That's from the history. And then architect flow initiate an ACD transfer with the preferred agent expression. In that expression, we're going to add the previously got agent ID. The call extended to the preferred agent. If the preferred agent is unavailable, it routes the call to the next agent in the queue. So it's very simple concept, easy to implement, and let's see the API sections. All right. So that's the main logic here. We understand those API. And by the way, whatever logic I have discussed here, I have a proper document here. I will send you this. It has all those APIs and all those details. Once the session is completed, I will send this so that you can refer. Non-encrypted format like a PDF itself. So let's go to the Postman and see what API we need to use for implementing this thing. All right. So yeah, before going to the Postman, let's finish our administrative portion, which is creating a queue and a call route. What is the, yeah, these two things. So we're gonna look into a DID range and then create a call route. Make sure the call is coming into Genesys Cloud. All right. So coming back to the, so first, of course, we need some wrap-up codes. I'm not going to create that. We have so many wrap-up codes here. We're going to use any of that. So we have a lot of things. So imagine you created the wrap-up code and then go to queue and let us create a queue for that. Queues. Create AJ WB Q02, and I'm going to put that into ST division. And if you want to copy the configuration from any of the queue, you can do that. Click save. I'm not saving it because I have already created one. So once you save it, that queue will appear here. Just go ahead and open it. I don't want to save. I don't want to create a new thing. So since I have already a queue, so let us go inside the queue and see what else we need to configure here. So within the member section, make sure you have the agents available. I have agent 1 and agent 2. Those are the two agents I added in the member section. And rest you can customize if you need, otherwise keep default, no other settings needed here. The only thing that we do here is the routing section. Within the routing, you need to make sure have to select preferred agent routing. When you select preferred agent routing, there is a condition here, route to all preferred agent for 3 seconds. I mean 3 seconds, try to route the call to the preferred agent. If you are not identifying any preferred agent, then timeout method will be all skill matching. I mean route to rest of the members, or you can even use best available skill or disregard skill and next agent. So you can use anything. That's the default one. So as per this logic, it says that, okay, route the call to a preferred agent as long as the architect flow is sending you a preferred agent ID. Try that. If you're not getting that ID or you're not identifying the preferred agent within 3 seconds, fall back to the normal routing method, which will be routed to the next available members. You can customize this 3 seconds into whatever time you want. I found 3 seconds would be okay. So initially quickly for 3 seconds, it checks for the agent availability of the previous agent. If it's not available, after 3rd second, it falls back to the normal routing and then send that to the existing member. So this is the configuration that you have to do on the routing section. That's all we need in terms of routing. Is it clear? I hope it is.
We don't need to add that rule, right? Here?
No rule, nothing, just one. So the first rule itself says that route to all preferred agent for 3 seconds. That's it, because we are only preferring one guy there, not like values like 190, nothing, just one user.
Okay.
Is this clear? Okay.
Yeah.
So moving on. So we have done with the queue creation. Then we need a DID range and a call route. So if we go to the telephony section and DID range, we can see one specific number here, which I'll be using for testing. DID numbers, DID range ending with 700. So this will be the number that I'm going to be using. Since this is a Genesys Cloud voice number, I don't need to add that in the DID range. If it is a BYOC, of course, I need to create a DID range and add it there. But this is directly purchased from Genesys, so we don't need to worry about that. So we are done with the DID range concept. So our DID is already there in the Genesys Cloud. Now let us create a call route. So we can go to call routing. Call route and add a call route. Call route will be AJWB call route. Okay, so call route is nothing but it attaches a DID number along with an architect call flow. So I'm going to place that into ST division, and then what DID number you have to use. So you need to type that number there. Sorry, +1. Since that is already assigned with a different, I have already created a call route. I will show you that. I don't want to create another one. So just add the DID number here. As long as the DID is not assigned anywhere, it will populate here. So you can select it and then select a random call right now. Random call flow. We haven't created any call flows, right? So I'll just say 2000 default inbound flow, then hit save. I'm not saving it because I have already one. So let us go ahead and open that. This is the one that I have created. AJWB call route 01. If you go to that, it is in STN division. That's fine. That's okay. And I have a DID number attached +1 332 286 8700. And currently it is getting routed to 2000 default inbound flow. Okay. I'm just selecting a random flow here. Once we create the actual flow, we will come back and edit it here. So we are done with our administrative section. So we have a DID range and a call route. We attach this DID range to a call route, and call route it is attached to a temporary flow right now. We will modify that later. Now, before building this call flow, let us see the API section. So what API can get us the last agent ID? So for that, we will have to go to our API documentation. I have given the link here. Copy hyperlink. And let me also show you how to import those things into Postman. We covered this in Genesys training, by the way, but still, this could be a review for you. So this is the Postman API. All the API references are here. We're going to be using something from the analytics side. But what I can do is I can import all those API into my Postman tool. For that, you have a link here, full collection. Go ahead and click on that. This will open up. This will download a file. Let me open that. So this is that file. File name is full.zip. Let me unzip it. Extract. Yeah. So basically it's a JSON file. It has all the API values. We will be importing that into our Postman tool. So go ahead and open your Postman tool. For this specific demo, I'm going to create a new workspace. So you can go to workspace, create new workspace, click next, webinar, June 2025. Only me and I don't invite people. Yeah. So just free space where I can import. Now click on the import, and then you have to drag and drop this file. Whatever you downloaded and extracted, right? That file has to be dropped there. How can I justify this? Come on. I'll bring that into a next different screen, then I drop it from here. Okay. So this is the file. I'm bringing that file, drop it here. So this will import all the API into Postman. That's our first step. So it got imported. It's getting imported. It's fine. So by the time it imports, we also need to import one more thing. That is our environment variables. So when you click on this, this will open up a new link which has a lot of variables. Just copy that link, Control C, go back to your Postman, then go to environments. Previously we imported into collection, right? The first import I have done, that zip file unzipped and imported to collection. Now I'm going to environments, then again import, paste that URL here. So it imports an environment as well. Then again going back to collection, within the collection, right hand side, okay, you cannot see that because of my video there. So let me just can I minimize this? No? Okay. That's okay. So in the Postman, you have an option here, select environment. So you are in the collection, go to environment, select this environment. What is that environment? Which is nothing but a set of variables available here. Okay. That's the first task we need to do. And once you're done with that, what else we need? Yeah, then let's go back to collection again, do the authorization. Inside the authorization, we're going to use basic auth, sorry, auth 2. That is what Genesys uses to authenticate. And in the grant type, we're going to select client credential. Then you have to fetch the client ID and client secret from Genesys. You can go back to your admin interface. There will be an OAuth. By the way, we have covered in detail what is OAuth, what is client ID and client secret. Just grab that. You can go to OAuth. I'm not opening it here because it will display the client ID and client secret. Client ID is anyway there, but client secret is not there. I'm going to be using the OAuth client 1. It's client ID and client secret. I'm not opening it because since we are recording the screen, that will be visible for no public. So I'm going to copy paste those into my Postman. Where is Postman? Yeah. So client ID and client secret. Let me copy that. This is my client ID. And this is my client secret. All right. So that is two things. Then access token URL. So we have to paste this thing, access token URL. So the token generation URL will be always login.your Genesys URL or auth token. Then what else we need? That's it. And we have to go back to the variables. Within the variable, there's a new update. Previously, it was not there. Probably when you are watching our previous recording, this variable was not there. This is available in the new one. So you have to update this base URL as well. Base URL is nothing but your organization URL. So if your organization is based out of US West 2, it should be API dot then the org URL uswest2.pure.cloud, or if it is a different region, you can see respective regions URLs there. So two things here in the authorization, client credential, client ID, client secret, and the login thing. That's the first thing. Then in the variable section, you have to make sure this is your specific URL. Then that's on the collection part. Now on the environment side, click on the environment, again go to variables. Sorry, did I miss something? Yeah, it was not loading, sorry. So when I click on environments, click on the environments, you will see all the environment variables. We're not going to use all of that. The first one we need to modify. The environment initial value will be mypurecloud.com. Current value becomes mypurecloud.com. Instead of that, you have to use your organizational URL. For us, it is uswest2.pure.cloud. Okay. Simple things. Collection, two changes, authorization and variable. In the environment, go to environment and variables, environment, and then update the current value. That's it. Again, go back to collection. You can save this, by the way. Let me save it and close it. Here also you save it. And once you're in the authorization section, we have to generate a token now so that we can send API queries. So to generate a token, go back to the get new access token. Make sure you have the environment selected here. So within the collection, you should have the environment selected. Then click on create new access token. This will create a bearer token. Click proceed. This is the token, by the way. You can use token. Now you're done with your authentication. You save it. All right. That's on the authentication part. Now let's identify an API which can give us the call history based on the caller ID number. Again, you can go back to ChatGPT and ask or explore Genesys documentation. Since I have done that already, I'm going to directly go into that particular API, which is there in the Analytics API. So expand the Analytics, then Conversations, and Details, Query Conversation. So it is API, V2, Analytics, Conversations, Details, Query. Within the body, if you go to the body, so this is another issue I have recently noticed. It says some schema error. Usually when you import the template, you will have a body as well, but this is not showing any body. Every post request, most of the time you will have a body. This is a post request, but I don't see that body here. Of course, we need a body. Otherwise, how do we give the input? We need to give the input as a phone number, then get the agent details, right? But here I don't see it. So where is it? It could be a bug in the Genesys, the API import file, right? That schema file, or they call it as, what they call it as, Swagger. Yeah. So it should have been here, but it is not. So in that case, how do we get the body? So for that, you can go to developer.genesys.cloud, then click on API Explorer and go to the API which you are looking for. What you're currently exploring is this, right? Conversation Details Query. So copy this. Okay. Now all the APIs will load actually here. Okay. So Control F, Control V. Yeah. So this will be the one that we're going to use. This website is also having a lot of issues. I mean, when you browse this, it kind of freezes for some time and then it releases. So it's a little hard to use right now. Maybe in future they're going to fix that. So here, I'm not able to scroll down, by the way. Let's wait for a second. You can see a sample body. Yeah. See this? They will display you a sample body. You can click on this load empty schema so that you can see a sample body here. And we have to fill in all the details. I have done that hard work already. So let me bring that notepad file here. So this is the body that you need. So in this body, there are two variables. One is the time interval. So this is a kind of Zulu format timing. Zulu is basically or ISO representation of time. And this translated to 2025. This is the month, which is June 21st, which is today. Okay. 000000000. This is our minute, second, millisecond. Okay. That means beginning of midnight, right? Beginning of 21st, which is today. The Z represents the Zulu time. Zulu is basically UTC, the Universal Coordinated Time. So this is the starting time, and after the slash, it says 2025 June 21st 23:59:59:999. This means 11:59 at the night. So this translates one whole day, which is June 21st. That is today. So that is the meaning of this. Is this clear, guys? This representation?
Yes.
All right. Now the rest everything you can keep it as it is. Next variable becomes the customer ANI or the caller ID. So here I have hard coded my own mobile number so that you can see it. So what I'm going to do is I will copy this body. Copy this. I will also share you the notepad. By the way, this is also available in the document. You can see that. See this body. Copy that. Go back to the Postman and paste it here. Okay. Now, today around 2 p.m., which is around 7:30, 8 o'clock, I made a call to Genesys. So let me just retrieve that. That will be, I have noted down the time, which is 14:30, 2:30 UTC. 14:30. So this means 2:30 UTC to 2:45. So let's say 14:45 00 000. That means 2:30 p.m. to 2:45 p.m. That's it. So within that time frame, do you have any calls? This is what it says. Okay, do you have any calls with the history? So fill in those details, time and the number. Then within the authorization, you give that inherit from parent and then send this query. And what you get is a response. Let me maximize this. In the response, if you scroll down, last section, you can see one total hit. That means there was a call during that moment within this time. And within the API body, there are a lot of information. All we are looking for agent ID. So Control F, search for connected agent ID. Yeah, selected agent, sorry, not connected. Selected agent, and there is an ID which is the agent ID. So what is basically agent ID? When you go to Genesys Cloud users, admin and users, come on. Yeah, when I open the developer URL, my browser hangs. I have noticed this before as well. Let us close that developer.genesys.com. Come on. Goodbye. Sorry guys. Last week I started seeing this. Okay, whenever I load developer.genesys.com, it freezes the entire screen. Now it's okay. See. All right, coming back to the admin interface, and if you go to users, let us pick one agent. Let's say agent 1. And this particular thing that you see here, right? This is called agent ID. All right. So the API is returning that particular agent ID, and whoever answered the last call, that's it. Okay. So if this call was answered by somebody else, that would have been the answer. If there was no call, you don't see anything. Okay. Let's say, for example, if I'm changing that into 3, which is 3 p.m. UTC, there won't be any call. Oh, it is still having 13. Sorry, not 13, 15. So that is 3 p.m. So malformatted syntax. Okay. 14. Let's say. Yeah. So that's because I need to modify both sides, right? 15, 15. That means 3 p.m. So in 3 p.m. total hit 0. No calls. So let us make a call, or shall we make a call? Yeah. Let's see that. So this is what the API is all about. It is returning the agent ID when you input a time frame and a customer number. Is that clear? Is that clear, guys?
Yeah, yes.
All right. So what we can do is we can create a symbol queue, send the call and see which agent. Means we don't implement any routing, but normally you route the call to an agent and see the call got answered by somebody. You can do that, but I'm not doing it. Since this call was already there in the history, I will use that. So if there is no call, it goes to someone and then connected to someone. It display that who answered the last call. It will also say all the multiple calls. For example, if I filter for today, that means 00 00 000 and the whole day, which is 23 59 59. Oh, sorry. So the whole day, this is the whole day. See how many calls I'm going to get. If I scroll down, I can see, yeah, from my mobile number, I made 4 calls. So depending on the time frame that you change, it will list down all the calls, and every call will have a connected agent ID. And we are filtering this based on descending order. So the last one becomes the last call becomes the first one. So we have an option here, descending or ascending. So I'm going to filter descending. So the latest ID I will get it. Is this clear? This response?
Yes.
Okay. So
So, I have one thing.
yeah, go ahead.
So do we have to fill the interval mandatory? Means
Yes, the API requires an interval. If you don't mention any interval here, let's remove this, the API will fail.
because I am a customer, I have called yesterday or maybe 1 week ago.
Can you say a little more louder? I'm not able to hear you.
So suppose I am a customer, I have called today,
Mm.
okay, and maybe my last call was maybe 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So how the API will dynamically will go 3
Yeah,
days back
the
and
dynamic part I will tell you in the architect flow. This is now we are discussing in Postman, right? In the architect, my logic is that identify the current date where the call landed, subtract 10 days, 15 days, 30 days, and then create a logic like this. That I'll show you, which is an expression or data expression in Genesys architect flow. I'll show you that logic. We have that. So time being, I'm hard coding in the Postman just to tell you that this is how the Postman responds to me when I give this. So of course, this time has to be dynamic, like you said. The dynamic logic is all about in architect. We can create a variable, then build that expression that gonna give me current date minus 10 days. It's clear? Yeah.
yes.
All right. So of course, if you copy this output that you got from the Postman, so I just filtered the ended day today, and I got total 4 hits, total 4 calls. Let me gonna paste that into a notepad.
But in interval also we can take 1 week, right? Means
1 week, 10 days, 20 days, you can take.
yeah.
So my logic is 10 days, and I'll show you where we customize that.
So you are taking two inputs, right, AJ? One is the timestamp and second is the customer.
Exactly. So that's what the document also says. So interval is one input. The customer number is the second input. And I'm going to filter that into a descending order. So Postman, I'm going to hard code everything. Of course, when the call comes in the architect flow, it will be always dynamic. So we need to generate one expression for the date and also the ANI for the caller number. We'll do that. So within the Postman response or the API response, which is basically an analytics API response, we are looking for selected agent ID, right? Selected agent ID. And there will be many selected agent IDs because many call happen, right? So if I filter find all in the current document, so you can see a lot of hits. Okay, so this is answered by this agent, and then this is answered by this agent. Only 2 agents. We can see multiple agents got answered if I filter for the whole day. And from this, all I need the first one. Okay, whoever is answered the recent one, I need to filter that. So of course, I need to build a Genesys or not Genesys, JSON path expression for that. I'm going to go there once we create the data action. But time being, let us understand the response will have a lot of agent IDs, not only one agent ID, because it's an indefinite concept, right? I don't know how many calls made by the customer. The customer might have called 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, or maybe 10 times, 20 times. So every call, when I filter for the duration like 10 days or 1 day or 2 day, that list will have different entries. We cannot specify there will be only one call. So we'll have all the calls, but our logic is to identify the recent one, then pick this agent ID of that call. Make sense? Okay. Hope it is. Okay, moving on. Any questions there, guys, in the API section? Yes, no, maybe?
No, it's okay.
All right. So moving on to we are done with the Postman part. Now we're going to convert. This is our logic always, right? Even our training, we did the same thing. First, we will do in Postman. Then we're going to go to the Genesys data action. So of course, let's see in Genesys data action how we can implement the same API. We have to create an integration first. Let us do that. Go to integration. And the integration that we do is this thing. 1 second. 1 second. Add an integration. Genesys data action. Genesys Cloud Data Action. Sorry. Where is it?
G spelling mistake.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So Genesys Cloud Data Action. So this is basically the platform API. We're going to send API queries into Genesys itself. The same place we also integrate third parties, right? Salesforce or ServiceNow. But here our logic, we need to send a query into Genesys itself. So I'm going to use Genesys Cloud Data Action, install. Then I'm going to give a name, AJWB platform API 01 June 2025. Description the same. So the Genesys integration just carries only the credentials. So go to the credential section, click on the credential, configure. We need to add the client ID and client secret. How do you get it? Again, in the OAuth, you can get the client ID and client secret. That is what we added in the Postman also, right? So I'm going to copy paste the client ID and client secret. So I added all those. Click OK, then save it. And also once you save it, make sure you activate it. So this is what you created, AJWB Platform API 01 June 2025. Make sure it is active. So it's very simple. One integration carries a set of credentials. That's it. Now let us create our API action. So go to Actions. Within the action, go ahead and click Add Action. And we need to select our integration. So my integration is AJWB June 2025. Then the data action name will be AJWB get sticky agent ID June 2025. Okay, that's the API data action name. AJWB get sticky agent ID June 2025. Add. Let's review the document again. So in the document it says base URL. Sorry, this is for Postman. This is for Postman. And let's see, for all the steps are given, by the way, there in the document as well. Let's see, where are we? Yeah. So this is the things that you need for Genesys. So this will be the URL API v2 analytics conversation details query. If you look at the Postman, we have the same thing. From here, we're gonna usually copy the concept, right? So copy this and go back to Genesys. In the action, we don't do anything on the summary. We will go to setup unless we don't need any, if we need any HIPAA compliance. Go to configuration. Then this is a post request. If you look at the Postman, this is a post request. So I selected post. Then I have pasted the URL here. Then the body, it is there in the document. I can copy paste from the body, but let's paste it from the Postman. Okay, copy this in the request, paste it. Now, like I said, we have two variables here, right? In Genesys, we cannot send always the hard-coded time, so time and number. So it has to be variable. So how do we define variable? This is the way you define variable. So in the interval, you convert that into $1 variable name. So let us do that in Notepad 1 second. So I will copy the entire stuff from Postman, go to a new tab, paste it. So this is one input, right? So let me say this is our one of the inputs and this is your second input. So how do we define inputs in Genesys, which is $? So let me mention $ here. Then input dot. So the variable name, what I'm going to use is, I will use variable as, one sec. Yeah.
Date interval.
Date interval. Yeah. This is the variable I'm going to use. So I will say, hey, what is my, sorry. So here I'll say input date interval. It has to be in curly braces. Yeah, so this is how you define one of the inputs. And here you have the customer number. So again, dollar curly braces input dot customer number. So this should be your body. So in the body, you're dynamically filling two variables. I have copy pasted that already here. This is how it is. I'm going to paste from here. Two variables, date interval and customer number. So copy that, update your body here. So once you have inputs in the body, you have to define the input contracts. So what are the input contracts? One is date interval. So go back to the contracts, add two input contracts. First one will be date interval. It's gonna be a string. And the second one will be your customer number. That is the second contract. All right. I'll discuss about output contract, but let us test this out. So within the API, so you configure the URL and the body. Body's got two variables. So when you go to the test section, you can see date interval and customer number. So let me populate that date interval from Postman, whatever we have updated here, right? This is one of the sample time that we updated. I'll copy that date interval, and then customer number is my mobile number. Let us run this and see what response we are getting back. So I send this. As long as the API hits the Genesys backend properly, we get a response back, and the response can be properly visible on the execution section. So if you copy paste the same thing, whatever you see on the Postman, you get the same response here. It is display wise it is small, but if you scroll down, you can see the same thing. Total hits 4. If you copy the entire data, that will be exactly the same that you see last time, right? Total hits 4, and there'll be agent IDs and many other data. So I'm fine. My API is good, but I don't need the entire data, right? I only need specific components within the data, which is agent ID. So how do we filter the agent ID? That's where we need the support of ChatGPT. So I'm going to say, I will paste that value, response here. ChatGPT cannot accept whole bunch of data. See how many lines are here. It is around 1.6k lines are there. So I don't want to copy paste the entire data in ChatGPT. Instead, I will save this file as response. So in the desktop, I will say JSON response.txt. I just save the file as JSON response.txt, and I'm going to go back to ChatGPT and I will ask, I have a JSON data file uploaded. When I say uploaded, I have to upload, or you can drag and drop. So I'll go back to my desktop and place that file here. So this is the file. I'm going to drop it here. So JSON response.txt. Give me JSON path expression in JSON format to get the agent IDs. So what, not agent IDs, what value we are looking here is selected agent IDs. 1 second. Yeah, so I should be more specific. So I'll say ChatGPT selected agent IDs. Okay, so let's see what JSON path they're gonna give. Okay, so they gave me something like this. That's just good. To confirm that, I will open jsonpath.com. Okay, within jsonpath.com, okay, I have some history available there. You're gonna paste your same data, whatever data you have here, copy this, paste it here, and whatever response given by ChatGPT, so their answer is this. Okay, so when I paste it, Yeah, so it is getting filtering all the agent IDs. So it is conversation star dot participant star dot session star select agent IDs. Last time when I requested ChatGPT, I got a different expression. So it's your choice. You can use whatever option. So let me ask, is there any other way the expression? This is also another way. Let's see how this works. See, dot selected agent ID. So it has different way. I mean, the JSON path expression can have different methods to filter. What I use in the document is this $.session question mark at selected agent ID. Let us test this out. I mean, I leave it to you. You can use whatever style you want. Since I have documented this way, I'm gonna use this. So this also gives me all the agent IDs. But if you look at this is basically an array. It is not having only one agent ID, right? It has different agent IDs. We have, 13 occurrences here, right? 13 IDs are there. Out of that, all we are looking for is the latest one. So we should have another mechanism in Architect Flow to filter just first one from the whole data. That I'm going to show you when we do the architect. But within the architect, what we need is we will send an API query. We get a response back. So this should be in your translation expression. So let us go back to Postman. Right now you are getting, yeah, go ahead. Any question?
Yeah. So this dot you are putting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So does this make this, like when you are trying to pull the JSON path,
Mm-hmm.
does it make it dynamic? Like we have boundaries,
Yeah, right.
with respect to brackets and all. So does it make that dynamic?
Yes. So what is the meaning of that dot session? So it starts from conversation and then participants, and where the selected agent ID comes in, sessions. Okay. So I'm bypassing this section, conversation and then participants. That's where I have two dot. Then I put session means whatever data comes after this. See, it starts from ANI. If you look at here, it starts from ANI. Then hold the data here. So that's the meaning of session, right? If you have two upper envelopes, I mean conversations and participants. So you're gonna go inside conversation, then inside participant, then look into sessions. So you can cut short that into dot sessions. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, again, if you ask me to expand this, guys, please mute. There are different meanings for all the expression. In the detailed training, we covered almost all the regular expression. What is regular expression and JSON path expression? But I usually use ChatGPT these days because it is available. We can simply ask and get a optimized one. So I'll use it. If you wanted to expand this, go back and ask, okay, what does this explain me in ChatGPT? It's gonna explain each and every component. I think it would have explained. One second, let me ask. I'm sorry. I will be using this explain me. It explains dot means anywhere within session. Then yeah, I will leave it to you. ChatGPT is available for everyone. Just paste it and expand and see what exactly it does. So that's the way we can filter the agent IDs. That's what we are looking for. We need agent IDs to route the call. So
One last query.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there are two dots, right? Suppose the session, like the details that we're looking for, sessions, that is there in the fourth bracket.
Yeah.
So there will be 4 dots.
Yes, right. That's true. Not 3 dots. There are 2 dots only. Conversation is our first dot. Then participant is our second dot. Then we have session. That's the third one. So session we already defined there. So if you don't want to, you wanted to go something inside, something like selected agent, you can even put dot here and then selected agent. This one work. That will be. It has to be a different thing in the curly braces. So session start here. Within the session, I have first curly braces this. There should be a title. I mean, it has to be like this, conversation and then a curly brace. But here session, it's actually a list. I mean, in Python context, it's somebody is
It's an
making some
array,
test
I
call.
believe.
1 second. Guys, if you guys are practicing the lab, please don't use it. I just made it available for testing our demo. Anyway, so you will have to go and expand few things about regular expression. That will make more sense. So this is actually a list in terms of Python language, or like I could say an array, and other one curly bracket is like a dictionary in this thing. So to select dictionaries, we use dot in regular expression. All right. And if you have other questions, just ping me. I will send you additional documentation for supporting JSON path expression. Have you attended my previous class?
Is it just one question? In the response itself, the dates are already sorted.
I'm sorry?
In the response, JSON response that we get, dates are already sorted with respect to this conversation ID.
Yeah, so we are passing the date in the input itself, right? So this data that you see here, right, it is purely based on 1 day of time. But if I send, for example, let me show you one more result. So if I change this back to 2 p.m. because after 2 p.m. I just made one call only. So 14:30 to 14:45 00 000. If I send this, there'll be only one response coming in. See, and if you copy this data, Control A, Control C, go back to the JSON path filter, replace this with that, you get, I mean, same ID will be there, but in the data it is having 3 occurrences. That's why you see 3 here, but it's the same ID there, right? C7, 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 that's all. Because I made only one call and this is the agent who answered the call. If I expand the time frame into 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 1 day, 2 day, 10 day, based on that, the number of agent list will be increased, but we will use a different logic to get the first agent ID from that list. Is that clear?
Yes, that is fine.
Okay.
But the means whatever the output is, that is already sorted out on the basis of.
Yeah, so that's where we are adding one more, one more concept in the filter, right? So it is based on interval. This is the interval, and you filter me in a descending order. So based on an interval, which is this, from 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. to 2:45 p.m. show me all the calls in descending order. That is what this body means.
Got it, fine.
All right.
Thank you.
No worries. So let's go back to our notepad. So we need to have a translation map, right? So what I need is, I don't want the entire data right now in the Genesys API call. It give me entire data. So I don't need the entire data. Instead, I only need the agent ID. So to filter that agent ID, we got to know we're going to be using that particular expression, this expression, and I can use a default translation map. Let me copy paste from the notepad. So this will be your translation map. So translation map will have 3 different sections: translation map, map default, and success template. So in the translation map, I'm going to use a variable called sticky agent IDs, and I will use the ChatGPT based expression or JSON path expression to filter all the agent IDs. Of course, I will be getting the dynamic list of agent ID. It could be 10 agents maybe, or 20 agents maybe. I cannot count it, right? So, but we can use a different mechanism to do that. So when you get multiple things within the within one variable, we usually call, in the programming world, we call it as array. Okay, so array, or in Python language we call it as list. So when you define the input contract, you need to mention that. I'll show you that. So anyway, that is one of your translation map. And default translation map, if it is default, the selected agent ID becomes unknown. Okay, so unknown means you can use a string, but again, this is plural form, right? I am using sticky agent IDs, so I am making it as a list again. So list is having only one component. Forget about this, we have seen only unknown, but here I am using a square bracket just to say that this is again an array format. Okay, then success templates, sticky agent IDs, and then sticky agent IDs. This is what we have been using a lot of time in our regular training, so I don't want to explain those again. So I'll copy this, go back to Genesys, and in the configuration section, we're going to add the translation, paste it. Since I have added one variable, which is sticky agent IDs, I need to define the output contract. So go back to output contract, define, paste that sticky agent IDs. Like I said, it is not a string variable. We can see this is a list variable or an array variable. So in Genesys as well, we need to define this is not a string, instead it's an array. So I just mentioned it an array. So within the array, there are a lot of field, right? I mean, what is it? Yeah, there are a lot of agent IDs. So I need to define one variable for each of these. Okay, one variable for each of these within the array. So let's define a new variable. So I call it as agent ID. So sticky agent IDs will be an array of list. Within that array, every agent ID will be stored into a variable called sticky agent ID. So this is a string. So array is basically group of string. That's all. Okay. So I defined an array and then I defined a string inside of it. Now if I send this test, okay, I'll go back to test and date interval. I'm going to select the previous one. 1 second. That will be there in the history. 1 sec. 30, no, this is 21. Where is 21? Yeah. So 21,002, 21. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is the full day, by the way. Okay. No. Yeah, that's okay. Let's try this. Then this is my number. If I run this query, I will get a properly formatted output. Instead of the entire whole chunk of JSON data, I will have a formatted IDs here. See, sticky agent IDs, that's a plural form, that's the array, and sticky agent ID, sticky agent ID, sticky agent ID, and I will have those IDs here. Means based on the time interval will be huge. If you're given 31 days is the maximum. If you give that 31 days, you will see a lot of IDs, but the last agent will be this one. So in the architect flow, I will go and pick the last one. That's it. Is this API clear?
Abdul?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hi, Abdul. Just a quick question. I understand this particular thing, but I just want to ask you one more question here.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, we are saving some variables in the architect flow, right?
Mm.
Let's say if the customer is calling and when I'm doing some, data table lookup, and then I'm from the data table, I'm getting the customer mail ID. Okay, and I need to use that somewhere else. Okay, so in that scenario, sometimes what happens is if you go back to the JSON path, right? Sometimes it will be partition, and then under the partition, 0 is the first one. After that, some attributes will be there. After that, that mail ID will be there. Okay. Sometimes when I call, it is that particular attribute is under 0, and sometimes it is under 1. In that scenario, I mean, it can be 1, 2, 3, anything, right? So I don't know why it is changing like that, but if that is the case, if it is, let's say what happened is like I'm doing some testing, and that time.
Hello, I lost you. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
We lost him. Anyway,
it is cost.
Yeah.
Even I had the same question, AJ. So if suppose that value is coming in dynamically with respect to entities and it keeps changing.
Yeah, I got your question. So let me answer this first and then go to the dynamic nature. Here, it will never happen because I am descending, filtering with a descending order. So in my API input itself, I am saying, okay, give me that in a proper order. But imagine you are doing a different API to some different third-party systems. You might get, flipped way. I mean, the value becomes flipped in between here and there. In that case, of course, you will have to use a different mechanism. Okay, let us park that question. Here it won't happen because we have an order parameter in the body. So it will be always in a descending order no matter what, however you send the request, it comes in a descending order. But some API, if you don't have that option available, first you send a request, you get the JSON data. It will be in a different form, I mean different order. When you send the API request again, you You get the same data, but in a flipped order. You can do a different mechanism to make it in a proper format. There should be some schema you can define and get that in order. But let us explore that after the session. You send me those details, what API or what destination system you're trying that, and then I'll try to find out the answer, by the way. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So here that problem will not happen because the parameter will be always in a specific descending order. So once we have all these API configured, I can go ahead and publish this. So once you save it, you cannot come back. So I will confirm and I saved. So we are successfully done with our API section as well. So this is, by the way, the expression explanation. What does it mean? See, this is called ISO format time representation, usually used in APIs or the programming world. And I have explained here 2025 621 means this. Then 00000 means here it is 12 a.m. I mean beginning of the day, and after this slash the end time, which is again today, midnight 11:59, that's the end of the today. So that's 11 p.m. and Z represents Zulu, which is another form of UTC. So that's how usually we represent time in any programming languages. Okay, now let us build our architect flow to get this. Now we have done with our call route and then the API. So let's go back and implement the flow where we can route where always a specific agent. Again, I'm going to add a new flow. HAWB sticky agent routing.
Abdul, this is to connect with the last spoke agent, right?
Yes.
Or
Last spoken agent.
okay. Okay.
Let's create a flow. And our architect flow is very simple. Thank you for calling AJ Bank Customer Happiness Center. Then routing directly into something. So regular approach. So when you create an architect flow in Genesys, you present it with a default interface. So I'm going to usually use new task, and I'm going to name it starting task.
Sure.
Then move this task into the primary task. So set this as the starting task. Then remove this menu. I don't need this menu. If I need, I will create my own. So of course, in the starting task, you will have a default initial greetings. I'm not a fan of that default one, so I'm going to delete that. Then add a 100 millisecond empty audio file there. So it becomes nullified. Now, first thing first, we'll place one play audio here. And it says, thank you for calling AJ Bank Customer Happiness Center. That's it. Okay. Done. Now, let me bring this one to here. One second. I'll bring my reference. Okay, so once you have that, what's your next process? So you answer the call, then you're gonna do that API call, right? To make that API call, I'm gonna create a new task. So I will name it as sticky agent, get sticky agent, get sticky agent. And what do we do here? We're going to send an API query. So in the API query, we need a data, right? We need date and caller ID. So to define the date, we're going to use this approach. So I don't want to build this. I will ask ChatGPT to give me that. Okay. So we usually have, this is what we have from Postman, right? So I'm not building anything new. What I do is I'll go back to ChatGPT and ask, all good. I need a Genesys cloud variable expression to define date range based on ISO format. Initial date has to be the time when call hits Genesys Cloud CX, and then subtract 10 days from it. Okay, so I will give a sample also. Example 2025-21. So let's say here 21. Then I'm going to reduce 10 days from that, which is 11. Yeah, this should be it. Let's see what's going to come back and respond. So they are saying something like this: toString call start time. Let's see if that works. Of course, it will be, we need to iterate through multiple questions with ChatGPT. Let's see. So what I'm going to do is, in the architect flow, I'm defining a variable. So to define a variable, we have to use data and update data. So let's use that. Okay. And my variable name, let me use the same name which is in the document, called date interval. So I'm going to say it's a string variable, and the variable name is date interval, and this becomes an expression, and this will be the expression I'm going to be using from ChatGPT. So let's copy this and see if it works. So this is the error we are getting, right? So I'm going to copy this error. Go back to ChatGPT, because this is an unknown expression, so Genesys won't understand. I have the actual expression, the fine expression, but let's see how far the ChatGPT can help us. Correct approach is to create ISO date ranges. No, I don't think this will also work. No, still not working. These are unknown.
Can you try current?
Yeah, I have it, but what I need, I have the answer, so it is there in my notepad. But what I want is, I don't want to break your head. This is the expression, by the way. So let's see at what point ChatGPT can respond back. Okay.
All right.
Format date time. Okay. Anyway, so I don't want to continue this, but you ask multiple times, finally you get an expression. I got the same thing from ChatGPT itself. So this is the expression: left to string, add days, get current date time UTC. This is what that logic. So getting the current date and time in UTC, and then reducing, this is 20 days. Okay, the 20 days range. So subtract 20 days. This is again some formatting thing. So this format will help us to get some days different. Let me come back to the document. So here we say that. Let me copy this. So I got it from ChatGPT again. So you iterate through the ChatGPT questions. Finally, you get a proper answer that can be without any error in Genesys. But if you wanted to understand what logic it is, I have this: explain me. Just pasted it, so it's gonna explain what is basically left means, then what is basically toString means. So it's gonna explain all. Current date time UTC gets the UTC time date, then add days. I mean, minus 20 means reduce 20 days from that, so we're gonna get second date as well. toString means convert the data into this format, toString, right? Then left 10 means from this we only need to take this thing, right? And this is the time format, filling in time. So it expands, I mean, it explains that. So since I have it, let us use that. That's the expression, which is a 20 days of gap in that. So in the Genesys, I'll come back and paste it here. If you want to go with 10 days, update this into 10 days. If you want to do that 30 days, update that to 30 days. Does that clear? Okay.
Basically to get the calls for the last 10 days.
Yes, right. Here it is last 20 days. So my variable value is 20. So this is clearly explained in my document as well. I'll send you this document. So this highlighted one, right? So minus 20 means this creates a time date range of 20 days ago. I mean, date range of 20 days gap. Start of today. I mean, whatever time today, from today, go back to 20 days, then get that starting and ending. So it gets something like this. Clear?
And that 10 is just some format.
10 is a formatting. So in the ChatGPT, let's see what is 10 is basically taking the 10 digits from the output. So here it is left 10 means extract the date part only. Example 2025 6/11. Sorry 1. So just to filter this, that's why the 10 will be always there. 20 is the variable. I mean subtraction of dates. So if you want to get 15 days, how do you do it? This 20 becomes 15, right? So my management is saying, okay, consider last 20 days of time. So I use 20. Clear? I hope it is clear.
Yeah.
So I define my first variable. So once I have that, then I can trigger my data action, because what is my second variable? That's a calling number, right? That dynamically we can always get it. So I'm going to go to data, then call data action. I'm triggering an API call. So what is my API, which is AJ Bank Cloud Platform June 20. This is the integration, and this is the data action. Here it is accepting or expecting you to enter date interval and customer number. So date interval, anyway you have a variable called date interval. So just set that variable and then type date underscore interval. So you get that. So you're passing the date interval. And the customer number, how do you pass the customer number? Customer number is always call.ani, but call.ani will have tel in the beginning. If you simply mention call.ani, it will be like tel colon then plus 91 whatever number you have. To remove that tel colon, I use another expression called replace call.ani, remove tel from the beginning, and then only use that e.160 for format. So I can simply use this expression to pass the calling number into API. So two variable I'm passing, and in response, what am I getting? I'm getting sticky agent IDs, right? So those are the values I'm getting. So I'll say whatever you get a response back, whenever you get a response back, save that into a variable called sticky agent IDs. Sticky agent ID. So a variable will get created, and whatever data comes from the API response, everything will be stored into the sticky agent IDs. Now we are good. For this API call, there will be three sections, right? Failure, timeout, and success. So in the success, we need to make a decision. So our decision making point will be this logic. Let me explain that. One second. I have it in the... If I have at least one agent, right? If I have at least one agent, task.sticky agent ID. What is sticky agent ID? All list of sticky agent IDs, right? All those agent IDs. If count, I mean count means how many in this context. Count means 1, 2, 3. So count sticky agent IDs greater than 0. At least if I have one agent ID, that is what this expression means. So I will use a decision making section there. It should be like at least one agent ID there. That is what the logic. Okay. So I will say decision making logic decision, and in the decision expression I will use this particular thing. Count task.sticky agent ID greater than 0. That means if I have at least one agent ID inside the response. Okay, so at least one ID, or I can use this is or task.stickyAgentID not equal to unknown. Not equal to, how do I say unknown? Because what happens if you don't have any variable to get, agents, it responds with unknown. In our case, unknown will never happen because it comes with either agent IDs, or if you don't have any agent ID, it will be empty. So this situation will never happen. But if you wanted to add that, you can also mention unknown in inverted commas there. So I will remove that. We will never hit the situation because the API will always respond in such a way that either you will have some agent IDs, otherwise 0. So it's fine. So this should be fine, greater than 0. So if you have at least one agent ID, that is what the logic is. Then we'll say, if you have the agent IDs, we need to get the agent ID into a variable. So I will say the data again. I'm defining another variable here, update data. So I'm just filtering the first agent ID here. So to filter the first agent ID, what I'll use is, my variable name is sticky agent IDs. Yeah, 1 second. So I'll use this, define a string variable. Okay, that is sticky agent ID. So look at the form, it is not plural. I am using sticky agent ID. Okay, what will be the value? So that will be my first parameter in the sticky agent IDs, right? So how to define that? Sticky agent IDs, then in square bracket 0. This means that from the list of all the agents, right, pick up the first one. So sticky agent ID square bracket 0 means this, square bracket 1 means this, square bracket 2 means this, and etc. So I'll always consider the first one, that is square bracket 0. Till this logic is clear, guys? So first I am sending an API call, which is this. In the API call, I am sending the date interval and also my caller ID, and waiting for a response, a list of agent IDs. And I will take a decision here. If I have at least one agent ID, okay, then sticky agent ID equal to sticky agent IDs 0. So from the plural form of sticky agent IDs, take the first one. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now we have the value. Now what we need is, we need to send this to the beginning task, right? So this is a starting task. Here we are taking the call, and I created the entire logic here. Then what we can do, once we have that, we can do an end task here. So go to the task and end this task. So while ending the task, there will be some, I'll show you how to do that. While ending the task, we have to, ending the task means we are jumping back. Okay, once you finish the task, it will go back to the initial task. We need that mechanism. From the initial task, it goes to the subtask, identify the agent ID, and comes back. To use that, we will use call task. There are two options to jump to a task, right? One is jump to reusable task. This means that from this logic, it goes to sticky agent, and rest of the logic you have to build there itself, and call will disconnect. It will never come back. But what I'm going to use here is call task. So in the call task, what it do is, it will trigger a task. What is our task? Get sticky agent is my task, which is here. So thank you for calling AJ Bank Customer Happiness Center. Trigger the task. So the logic goes to get sticky agent task. Then it executes all our APIs and everything. And while ending the task, we will say which output path you wanted to go back. So here I have only one output. I don't have different conditions here. It's just an ID, various agent ID. So I'll say go back to the default task. So I select default task. Again, coming back to the starting task. So the logic will come back and stop here. Sticky agent, go to identify the sticky agent. Once you execute all the logic, bring the logic back into the default branch. That is what it's. Now here I can use symbol ACD transfer. So transfer to ACD. Okay. So in the ACD, I will say what ACD I need to transfer. Transfer to the AJWBQ pre-transfer audio. Okay. We are transferring your call to your favoriting to the favoriting agent. We are transferring your call to the favorite agent and close it. Failed means sorry, system error occurred, call back us later, and whatever stuff you wanted to add. Sorry, system error occurred, call back us later. So here is our rest of the logic. See, we have in the routing section, we have priority, direct agent routing, preferred agent routing. So I will be using preferred agent routing. So I can use an expression here. So if you go back to preferred agent routing documentation, preferred agent routing,
Abdul,
mm-hmm.
that's a quick question. So you did this agent ID selections on the different tasks, right? So I see that you have say that task as a task that variable. Does it work?
Yeah,
And
I'm
again,
coming to that. I'm exactly coming to that point. It will not work. Okay, we have to modify that. Yeah. So we have to define a variable selection this way. Okay, make list, agent score pair, find user by user ID, put your agent ID here. So where is your agent ID stored in this case? So your agent ID is stored in this task, right? And it is saved as, at this point, it is saved as task.agentID. So we are sending the call to this particular thing, but there are two variables in Genesys. One is task variable and flow variable. So right now you are in the subtask, which is get sticky agent, and this variable only lives within the task. But where are we transferring the call? We are transferring the call on the starting task, right? So starting task does not aware about there is a variable called sticky agent. So we need to make that variable as a flow variable. So you can click on the sticky agent IDs and set that to entire flow. Then save it. Now this particular agent ID is available across all the tasks. So I can come back here, then use an expression based on this official documentation. They are saying this is how you create an agent ID. So there are two agents here. In my case, only one. So find user by user ID, put the GUID or agent ID here. So instead of we are hard coding the agent ID, we have an expression to use, I mean a variable to use. So that is what this is all about. Make list, agent score pair, find user by user ID, flow.sticky agent ID 100. So this flow.sticky agent ID will always get the last customer ID and then try to route the call. So that's it. Copy this expression, go back to Genesys, and within the expression of preferred agent, we will say use this. Okay. So now I have used flow.sticky agent ID. From where am I getting that ID? Which is in the get sticky agent task. From there, I will identify the agent ID, then come back to this. By the time I reach as the default section, I will have a variable called sticky agent ID, then route that into that. Then failure happens, then we can use disconnect and disconnect. Once I have that, all your warnings will be gone. You are good, and you can also set the language into a beautiful TTS. I will use Amazon Poly and the Daniel voice. That's it. I can publish. So I will review that flow again. So initially we are getting the call and answering that. Thank you for calling AJ Bank Customer Happiness Center. Then we are passing this logic into a get sticky agent task. I'll use call task. There are two things, call task and jump to reusable task. Call task mean it goes, execute the task, comes back, right? That's what I need here. You can also implement the other way. It's your choice. So I use call task. That means the logic will come back to the default one. You can add different path. You can take some decision and do different path. If you remember the emergency routing in our previous training, we have used the same logic. So while coming back, we have different sections there. So in this case, we have only one. So at this point, I am sending the logic into get sticky agent section. So here is how our logic happens. First, I will define a variable to hold that date interval, right? So the date interval is identified in such a way that it gets the current date the time that call lands. I mean today, this is one of the Genesys expression, it gets the current date. Okay, then this is the starting time, right? 0000, that's the starting of that day. And they're saying minus 20 means subtract 20 days and get the next date. That's it. So with that expression, I have a variable called date interval, task.date interval. Then I'm triggering the API call. One of the inputs to that API call is task.date interval. So I'm passing the date interval. Along with that, I'm also passing the customer number with a properly formatted. So it's just an E164 number I am sending, right? Now, of course, there will be success, failure, and timeout. Ignore the failure and timeout. We have a different option there to continue. So in the success section, if you have at least one agent ID, that is what this logic is all about. Count.sticky agent IDs. So wherever I use IDs with S, that is plural, right? That's a list. So in that list, if you have at least one agent ID, that is yes, then you are saving that first agent ID, which is task.sticky agent IDs 0. That means the first one in the list. The first one in the list. You are saving it there, okay? And you are ending it. You saved it and you end it. While ending, you are going back to the default section that you started from, right? If the API call is failure and timeout, doesn't matter. It will go back to the default one, no problem. So while coming back, your logic will be returning to this point, a default point, and then here you are triggering an ACD route. So in the ACD transfer, all we are looking for preferred agents. In the preferred agent, we have used an expression that makes agent score pair, find user by user ID, flow.sticky agent ID. So from where am I getting the flow.sticky agent ID? From the subtask that we have used to build that APIs and everything, right? It will return me a flow.sticky agent ID. I use that, then trigger the call. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are good. Let us publish this. So once you build the call flow, let us go back to the admin section of Genesys and finish our last task, which is pointing to the right flow. So where is that? So here we have a call route, right? This is our call route. Within the call route, we need to point to the right call flow now. So timing, we have selected a dummy call flow. So let's go back there. So going back to the call route. AJWB call route. And here I will select June 2025. AJWB sticky agent routing June 2025. So when you call this number, the whole logic will work. So let us save it. And in the queue, I have agent 1 and agent 2. So those two agents are logged in here. This is agent 1. If you look at this, this is agent 1. And this is agent 2. I will make both of them are available. So the available option is behind my video, but still that is available. Let me bring that screen here. See, this user is also, on queue. All right. So both user, agent 1, agent 2, both of them are on queue. I'm going to make a call from my number. It has to be originated from my number. It can be from any number, but dynamically stick. So let's see who answers. Initially, when the call comes in, of course, if there are no data, if the customer is calling for the first time, it will never get any agent ID. So it routes to existing one based on the default queue logic. Then one get answered, right? Next time when the caller calls, of course, that API will fetch one and then do it. So in my case, I had a lot of calls happen in the past 20 days. So I don't know which agent will be picking my call. Let's test anyway. I'm going to call this.
Thank you for calling Happiness Center. We are transferring your call to the favorite agent.
Yeah, so it is going to agent 1. Let me answer that. So the stick got created. So my number got connected to agent 1. Let me do one more call and see what happens. It has to go to agent 1. No matter if I have agent 1 and 2 both available, it has to go to agent 1 because that's my sticky agent or favorite agent. Then I will not answer, then see that sticky agent changes also in dynamic. So I'm calling again. It still has to go to
AJ Bank Customer Happiness Center. We are transferring your call to the favorite agent.
coming to agent 1 again. I will answer. I spoke to the same agent. Now we will see how we can change the agent, favorite agent, dynamically, right? So for that, what should I do? I don't answer. I mean, the agent will ignore it so that after some time, it falls back to agent 2. So let's see. Then I will answer from agent 2. So agent 2 becomes my favorite ID for the next call. So in this call, what I'm going to demonstrate, the call will be presented to agent 1 because agent 1 is my favorite agent. But I ignore, the agent 1 ignore that call. So after 3 seconds, it falls back to, or sorry, after 15 seconds of presentation, it will be presented to me. After 15 seconds, it falls back to the second user and I will answer from the second agent. So then second agent becomes my favorite agent. Any other calls comes in, it will be always landing on second agent. So let's see that. So I'm calling again. I will not pick the call from agent 1. Rather, I will pick the call from agent 2.
Thank you for calling AJ Bank Customer Happiness Center. We are transferring your call to the favorite agent.
That is still my sticky agent presenting to agent 1, but I'm not answering. So it came to agent 2. I answered at the agent 2 side. So I spoke to agent 2, all those things done, disconnected. Now who is my favorite agent? Agent 2 is my favorite agent. I'll still make both agents are available. Now agent 1 and agent 2 both are available. And what happens if I make one more call? Dynamically my favorite agent got changed, right? It is agent 2 right now as per our logic. So the call has to land on agent 2 this time. That's a truth moment, by the way. Let's see.
Thank you for calling AJ Bank Customer Happiness Center. We are transferring your call to the favorite agent.
It is presented to agent 2. So I can answer. I spoke to the customer, disconnect the call. Any further call comes in, it will be still going to agent 2. And if I want to flip that again, what should I do? The agent 2 can ignore the call. So it presented to the agent 1. Then agent 1 becomes the favorite agent. Does that clear?
Yeah.
Any questions?
Abdul, just a quick one, just in case, when the calls comes in and after sometimes the call is getting transferred to other agent, in that scenario.
Yeah, this will work in all other scenarios. So if you have 5-6 agents, first it will consider whether I have a proper favorite agent. If it fails to identify, then whoever is available in the queue based on the second logic in the queue, right? Let me show you that. So in the queue, there is 3 seconds of time. It will hunt for favorite agent. And if it cannot find any favorite agent, it goes back to the normal queue distribution. So in my logic, the normal queue distribution is like route to the next agent. So here, routing. Yeah. See this all skill matching. Is that your question?
No, what my question is like, once the agent has picked up the call, and after that, agent transferred the call to some other customer, some other agent, right?
Okay.
In that scenario, the transferred agent who picked the call, they'll be the favorite agent next time?
Let's verify that. I don't know the answer, but let's test it. Okay. So here, right now my favorite agent is agent 2. I'll pick that call in agent 2, then transfer to agent 1. See what happens. I don't know whether the API is having, the API response is having that. If it is capture, of course, I think it will work in this case as well. So let us test it. So calling, my agent 2 will answer because that's a favorite agent now. Then agent 2 will transfer to agent 1.
Thank you for calling AJ Bank Customer Happiness Center. We are transferring your call to the favorite agent.
Okay, answer. And your question was, we will transfer from here to there. So let us use transfer. So I'm transferring to agent 1. Agent 1. Answer here. Okay. This got disconnected. And now I am speaking to agent 1. So agent 1 also done talking. He disconnected. And he wrapped up the call. Now both agents are even now available. So the next call, as per my understanding, it will still go to the agent 1 itself, because there will be a selected agent ID updated in the history of that JSON data. So let's see that. But here the answered agent was agent 2, but then transferred to agent 1. So next time when the call arrives, where should it go? That's again the
Call to the favorite agent.
no, sorry, it is still coming to agent 2. So if you want to do that in the API section, there'll be some filter where we can identify the transferred agent logic in that JSON. So we also need to filter that. It should be a different logic altogether we need to build.
Yes, but the biggest, we choose the descending for only conversation ID actually.
Yeah.
So under conversation ID only, we can find
Correct.
conversation ID.
Who answered, I mean, who initially selected. So there will be few more data like transferred agent in that case if you send the API query. And you can put an additional condition or additional query, API query, to identify whether there is a transferred agent. Then build that logic. If there is a transferred agent, that becomes the agent. Otherwise, just follow exactly whatever you follow. It can be built.
But still, this information will be comes under one conversation ID, right? Is that true?
Yeah, that's in the conversation ID also. Yeah, that's true. It will become some.
But the agent ID is like.
But agent, it would be like not selected agent ID, maybe a transferred agent ID or something. That
maybe the path may be changed.
Correct. Yeah. So based on our regular JSON path expression, we are not filtering that. So we can get this response and see where that new interaction things comes in, then build that regular expression or change that, not regular expression, JSON path expression. So you should be going to, you can build that. It's possible. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, AJ.
Yeah.
So that data action part where you created 2 outputs, could you please explain that part once more? Like,
okay.
Not here. The integration.
Okay. In the data action. Okay.
Because like collated value is coming in one sticky node. Then you are segregating. Yeah, that.
Okay. Yeah. So in the action, I'm not picking one. Okay. In action, I'm just letting to display everything. Let's do that. So it is June. This is my data action. So here I'm not selecting anything. I have only one output contract here. If you look at the output configuration, contracts and output contracts, I'm just identifying sticky agent IDs. This is coming inside the sticky agent IDs. So sticky agent IDs means it's a list. That's why I mentioned as array. That is what here. And within the array, I can put anything here. I can put my name also here, AJ. Then you will see sticky agent IDs, AJ first ID, AJ second ID, AJ third ID. All the IDs will be there. This is just a string, a variable name I have used. So what happens when you send that API call? Let's send a random call. Today is 21st. What is today? What is it? Let me select something and send. Okay. So when you send this, the response will have first list sticky agent IDs, then the same value, sticky agent ID, first agent, sticky agent ID, then second agent, sticky agent ID, sticky agent ID. This is how I segregated. Since because it's an array, it's not a string variable. If it is a string variable, just mention it is a string. That's all. Since it is an array, I have configured two things here. One, the array representation, the upper envelope for the array. then the individual variables of that in a sticky agent option. And
it is just amending the name of sticky agent ID in front of all agents.
Oh, yes, right. You're right. So amending all the sticky agent IDs in front of all the sticky agent ID. And in the architect flow, there also I have used a zero filter. I mean, sticky agent IDs call bracket 0 so that I get the first agent ID. Then I'm saving that into the flow variable sticky agent ID. I'm again doing the filtration actually here. In the data action, I let everything to be displayed. Here I'm just picking up the one, though it is filtering everything, it's picking up the one. We can also do one more thing. We can see the execution history of the call. So let us open the execution history and pick up the last call and see what value is getting generated during the entire flow. So let's see that. If you implement this, if it is not working, you can always examine using the interaction history. So within the interaction execution history, we will exactly see the entire call flow. So we have two tasks here. This is first task and this is second task. In the first task, call comes in. Thank you for calling AJ Bank Customer Happiness Center. Then you move, it goes to sticky agent task and coming back to default. So when it goes to sticky agent task, that section will be in this section, particular thing. So I will select this. So it goes back to the sticky agent thing. Here is the first logic what we are doing. So in the first logic, this is the data. So we can expand this. See what data we got. We use this expression as a response. We got this value. So let us examine this value. Copy this. Notepad. So this is what we got it, right? This is 01/6/2025. Is it 01? Then 21. Yeah. So start date is first and then 20 days gap, right? 21st. So ending date will be today. That is what we asked, right? Whatever time the call came in minus 20 days, then get that filtered date. So yeah. This is today and then we got 10 days back. Okay. And that value is correct. That's why it is routing based on the proper logic. We can move on and see what happens. So it triggered the sticky agent ID API. So from the API, what are we getting? So this is the API I'm calling data action date interval. So I'm passing that date interval here in the variable. Then this is the second thing I'm passing, right? So I'm using replace expression. Then the replace, I mean the final value becomes my E164 number only. There is no tell in the beginning. So that logic is also right. And what output is coming in? So it says value is too large to display. That's okay. That will be this. They won't show that since it is too large. It shows value is too large to display, but at least there'll be a single ID, right? So we say we will take that decision. It is true because it is greater than 0. It is true. Again, moving on. So once we reach update data, we actually got the variable, right? Task.sticky agent ID is 0. So we got that sticky agent ID dot 0. Okay. That becomes our flow variable, right? I mean, flow.sticky agent ID. Then it goes back to the first section. And this is the transferring section, right? WBQ. While transferring, we are saying the pre-transfer audio and priority 0. This is what our preferred agent section. If you expand that, we will see the value. There is a 0th value. There is an agent value. And the agent picked up was agent 2, right? Last time when I made the call, agent 2 is the agent 2 picked up. I mean, it got presented to agent 2. So it says this is agent 2. This is the agent 2 UID or agent ID, and this is the username for agent 2. Score pair is 100, and I'm only looking for one agent. So it got routed to agent 2. So from here we can clearly see that it got routed to agent 2. That's it. All right. So I think we are good. Any other questions, guys? All fine? And anybody attending my session for the first time?
I am.
Okay. Nice meeting you. And I also wanted to present few things here. I have a proper training for Genesys Cloud CX, which is an advanced training. A lot of the existing guys in the session who attended, this was one of the question in one of the classes in the past. I thought once we complete the regular training, I will hunt for it and bring that question, bring that answer. This is what that session is. But in our Genesys Cloud CX training, we split that into 3 different sections. And first section, we cover Genesys Cloud implementation, administration, and reporting. We pretty much cover the entire things about Genesys Cloud. And in the second section, we cover all the API interaction, including the translation, deep dive into API, Postman tool, and all of that. We also integrate Salesforce, SQL, so many other things. That's on the second part. In the third module, we do all the conversational AI related things, which is natural language understanding, Gen AI bots, and everything. Of course, Copilot and Agent Assist. It's pretty detailed session. If you are interested after the call, you can contact me on my number. Then I will guide you. I'm not doing any live training right now. It'll be a recorded session, lab access, and my support. Basically, you get the complete recordings. You can watch your own time, practice in the lab. Then if you have any questions or doubts, you can bring that to me. I will help you one-on-one, or even if you need a call, separate call for fixing that particular issue, I'll be there. That's what the current plan. Every year I conduct one training. This was conducted in 2024 November. So anyone who interested to enroll for this, you can message me after this. So with that being said, if no question, thank you for all. Thank you for your time. It's a Saturday. I appreciate you guys took your time and effort to spend 2 hours in a Saturday weekend. I appreciate that. And any further questions, if you want to connect me, contact me after the session. And thanks a lot, and wish you all the best and good night.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Bye.
Whenever we need you, you're there.
Thank you, AJ.
Thank you. Yeah, always.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Nandri.
Take care. Nandri, Lakshmi Nandri. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ajay.
Bye.
Bye.